Hello everyone, welcome back. So in this video, we are going to continue our conversation about how to factor. So again, as we mentioned before, the reason we can factor, the reason factor works, because the zero product property. So in this part, we are going to see several examples to see how does it actually work. So the first part about the factor, as you can see, actually factor can have multiple ways to deal with it. So today we are going to focus on factor GCF. So some students probably already remember this. GCF meaning greatest common factor. So greatest common factor is one we always check in the first step. And future we are going to work on more examples regarding factor different type of the function. But today we are going to focus on how do we factor GCF. So before we move on to a little bit more complicated stuff, we are going to use this one to check how do we factor GCF. Greatest common factor is we are looking at, no matter how many terms you have, we are looking at each term, and then we check what are the common things they have, and then we take the common stuff out of both terms. It's like the reverse process of distributive property. So as you can see, these two, the first one is 5x, the second one is 10. So we check two things. First is numbers part. For 5 and 10, they both have 5 as a factor, so I take 5 out of this. And for the variables, they have x, but second term has nothing, so there's nothing I take for the variables, and f is greatest common factor for both. So then I just need to figure out if I take 5 out of the two terms, what's left? So 5 times what gives us 5x times x. Second, 5 times what gives us a 10. You see, this is going to be the factor for this one. Okay, so that's one thing here. And then, since we're talking about quadratic equation, so we're going to talk about what if we have that kind. Now, let's check this one. So now you can definitely pause the video and also check how do we factor this one using GCF. And later you can definitely compare the answer with mine. So as you can see, I actually have equation here equal to 0. So how do we solve this one? The very first thing, as we mentioned, we always check, do they have greatest common factor? So let's check. The first one is x squared, and the second one is 4x. So if you check the number part, there's an invisible 1 here. There's actually nothing we can take out for the number, so really nothing we can do. But for the x squared and for 4x, they both have x, so that's why I'm going to take x out of this. The next part, you are going to ask yourself this question. X times what give you x squared? Yes, x times x give you x squared. Second part, x times what give you 4x? X times 4. And you can also use distributive property to check the process again. So as we mentioned, that's where zero product property comes. So now we break down these two parts, multiply together equal to 0. According to zero product property, we know this part or the second part must be 0. So that's why I can write down as x equals 0 or x plus 4 equal to 0. Then I just need to solve these two equations. This is actually one-step equation. So x equals 0, we already have this solution. Second part, I just solve this as a regular equation. Then that means I have two solutions. X equal to 0, that's one of the this, or x equal to -4. That will be our solution. You can even put, I can check one of the solution here. When x to 0, then 0 squared plus 4 times 0, 0 plus 0 equal to 0. You can even check the second one. -4 squared plus 4 times -4. Then -4 squared, meaning -4 times -4, 16, and plus 4 times -4, -16, 8 is 0. See, that's why we can use factor and also use zero product property to tell us how do we do this. Okay, this is going to be our last equation. So again, for this one, I suggest you pause the video now and work on this example on your own, and later you can definitely compare your answer with mine, okay? So whenever we use GCF, we always check two parts, numbers, or we say coefficient, plus the variable. So let's check the both of this. So first we see 3 and 9. So we know 3 will be the common factor, greatest common factor for the numbers. For x squared and x, remember you are taking something they both have. Some students might say, can I take x squared? Actually, no. The reason is the first one has x squared, but second one only have x here. So that's why we can only, they both have x as a factor. So that's why we're going to take 3x out of this. And if we take this, the next part we're going to ask ourselves is what I can multiply 3x to get 3x squared. So 3x times what give us 3x squared is x, because x times x is squared. The second part is 3x times what give us 9x. So we already have x here, so the only part left is 3. Now, again, since I have two parts, 3x times x plus 3 equal to 0, all I need to do, I break down each part must be 0, or because that's zero product property telling us. So the first one, 3 times x equals 0. In order to solve it, 0 divided by 3, 0. And for this one, again, we solve like a regular equation. So that means we have two solutions, x equals to 0 or x equals -3. Again, let's choose one of the number to check the solution. Let's check next -3. So I put a -3 into the equation. 3 times, so first we deal with exponents, -3 times -3, -3 squared, which is 9 times 3. And also 9 times -3 is -27. 3 times 9, 27 plus -27. Yes, we get 0. So that means checked. So that's how we use GCF to solve this kind of equation. However, sometimes we are going to see so some student might say, does that mean we can always use GCF? The answer is no, it's not always working, because we are dealing with all different kind of equations. And sometimes we can take something out of there to simplify this process, and sometimes we have to use a different method, still called factor, but different way to look at the equation. So that will be something we are going to discuss in the future, in the next lesson. Thank you so much for watching this video and to study this topic with me together. I hope this video is helpful. You definitely can email me with any questions of this. So once we finish the video, you can definitely check the exit ticket off today to see if you master this topic. See you soon, everyone. Take care.